welcome to Cindy's Library today. And today I'm going to talk about what I read for the first half of April. Sorry this is a bit late. Family reunion last week. It was great. So here we go. Let's see, I have 5 books to talk about, I think. Well, first is a reread. This one, Book Love. This is by Debbie Tung, and it is comics about all things bookish. Read it before, but always good to indulge in a bit of book love again. So there we go. I finished up Unnatural Death. So here we have an old woman. She wasn't doing well. Probably would not have lasted much longer, but still the doctor was surprised at exactly how soon that she died. So when Peter Wimsey and Parker hear about this, Peter insists on investigating. And we get an addition to the cast this time. Miss Alexandra Catherine Klimpson. She is a wonderful character. Older spinster. She looks harmless, but she's got a brain. She's the type of person that anyone would talk to. So she operates and participates in an information agency for Lord Peter Wimsey, finding out things. And that is exactly what she does, since this little old woman who died is in an English village, and so someone like Miss Klimpston is perfect to go there and investigate. And yes, I don't think it is too much of a spoiler to say, since the title is Unnatural Death, that the old lady's death does indeed uh, end up being unnatural. So there is that. And for Easter, I finished this, The Man Born to Be King by Dorothy Sayers. This is originally created for the BBC 12-part radio series, basically about the life of Christ. And quite enjoyed it. Sayers is always someone who, at least for me, is enjoyable reading. But beyond that, this reminded me a little bit of The Chosen. I mean, we are only told so much about everything in the Gospels, and there are certain things we know must have been, uh, given the time period, things that must have been because Jews were under Roman occupation, etc. And we get little hints of personality in some of the stories that are told, but they still leave a lot to be described. And Sayers does that description here, and that's why it reminds me of The Chosen. A couple of points I might not entirely agree with, but that's okay. Still very glad I read it. Still amazing. Perfect read for Easter. Okay, so that leaves me with 2 more. The first one is an audiobook. I finally finished listening to The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt by, who is it by? I want to say something Morris, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, it is the first part of a trilogy about the life of Theodore Roosevelt, and quite interesting. The narrator was good, engaging style, writing wise, and whatever else you can say about Teddy Roosevelt, he certainly lived quite a life full of lots of interesting events. Um, the first part covers basically the same uh, time period that was covered in Mornings on Horseback by David McCullough. Uh, McCullough went into more detail about that, but in all fairness, he was giving us a picture of the entire family, so that's not unexpected. And it's not too uh, far into the book before we get past that part. So let's see, what else do I need to tell you about it? Oh, the book ends at the point where Theodore Roosevelt has been notified that President McKinley has died from the assassination attempt. So presumably that's about where the next book will start. But yeah, that's where it ends. Yeah, he, like I said, he lived a interesting life. He was a rancher in the Dakotas. He might look like a city slicker, but he knew how to be a cowboy with the best of them. Um, Trips to Europe, quite interesting, prolific author. And that was in between and around all his civic activities and government activities, of which there were a number. I kind of feel like they didn't quite know what to do with him. Too popular to ignore, too independent to quite trust. That's why he ended up as vice president, because they thought that would be a safe enough office. But then McKinley was killed, so very interesting and probably an excellent place to learn about Theodore Roosevelt if you want to dive deep into that subject. Last one is also a reread, A Girl of the Limberlost. Reading that, so enjoyable. I love that story. Can't believe it took me so long to discover it in the first place. The Girl of the Limberlost is about Eleonora. She lives, uh, she lives at her mother's home. I guess it's her home too. And on land that her mother and father bought. Eleonora was born the night her father died, and her mother, well, he died uh, basically sinking into the swamp and being caught in that, and his mother saw everything. Her mother saw everything and was tried to save him, but because she was in the middle of birthing Eleonora, she was unable to, and her mother has never been the same since, at least according to their neighbors. And I'll give her mother credit. She does provide everything that Eleonora strictly needs physically. Oh, but basically only that. No affection and no encouragement for everything. Says she never has money. Well, food is one matter since they can, and her mother won't sell any of the land or anything like that. And beyond that, Eleonora, she is determined to go to high school in town. And so there is that as well, which is quite amazing what she is willing to go through to get an education. Of course, her mother gives her no support of any kind, but Eleonora finds ways to help pay for her education. Primarily, she has wandered the Limberlost swamps and woods for years, and she knows the plants, the animals, especially the moths. She's collected tons of Indian artifacts, and all of that helps her to get through school. Of course, that is only the very beginning. There's a whole lot more that goes on. It's just a wonderful story, a gentle story about courage, about persistence in the face of adversity, about finding creative solutions to problems, about forgiveness and redemption. I just love A Girl of the Limberlost. Anyway, so those are the three things I finished in the first half of April. And I guess we will leave things there for today. I'd love to hear what you read for the first half of April. And yeah, love to hear any comments or suggestions. Thank you for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. And so until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.